So we're going to install some new flooring out here, and we got this huge crack to deal with. It's pretty hard to see, but it's got about that much on it. You probably stack 4 quarters on it. And that's pretty high all the way through here. And there's some pretty big dips. You definitely can't put planks over that. All your flooring will get all screwed up. So I kind of already started, or I'm trying to take a grinder to it and completely level it off all the way down, so you can walk on it without really even noticing a lip. And then we'll get some concrete mix and fill all in the cracks, so there should be a solid, smooth floor again. You can see how much I'm taking off here. That's a pretty big lip. My whole finger goes under it. Walked along and I felt where a high point could be. So there's a few that I need to just kind of smooth off that area so you don't feel it. Most of these are good. That point was a little high. And basically this whole right side was a little bit high. But I marked the main interest where I need to really target right here, right there. And then that strip right there is a little high. A $15 grinder at Harbor Freight with like a $12, I don't know, basically it's like an all-purpose grinder attachment. It's like $15. This is what a new one looks like. It's got a diamond blade on it. Alright, well I leveled everything off. Now I just gotta kind of go along it and take off any little grinder marks I made on the ground. Just smooth it all off. I don't even feel the crack when I walk on it now. Pretty cool. I mean, that's about an hour's worth of work. It's not too bad. I'm just gonna have to sweep it 800 times. So now I've grinded out and I've kind of widened the top half of it all the way down with the grinder. Easier to show on this one. So on this crack here, I basically took the grinder and widened it as wide as the grinder all the way down, so there'd be more room to put the sand and the concrete mix sealer in there. They said fill it like the big cracks with the sand and fill it to where it's like a 1/4 inch deep from the top, and then you put this right over it and smear it all together so it kind of hardens with sand and concrete mix sealer. So hopefully this stuff works. I widened it all the way down. And I took the grinder and went and took off like everywhere that felt high. So now everything's perfectly flat on your feet. You don't feel a lip at all. Which is pretty awesome. So hopefully once this is sealed, you won't even notice it's here. I widened all the cracks and got all the loose stuff out of it. See, the sand's going down and disappearing, so this crack's really got to be filled in all the way. make sure it got all the way down in the crack so it's sealed. Now that everything's filled in nicely with that sand, you just take the broom and just sweep out the crack just so it's down a little bit. You know, you want like that much for the concrete mix to go down in. They say 1/4 inch is what you're supposed to have. But at least now it'll have something to stop it from dripping down in. It'll have a nice solid seal all the way through the crack. But now it's pretty much full of sand all the way across. This stuff starts off pretty liquidy, so you got to shake it to where you don't hear it moving around much. It pretty much will fill up the whole bottle when it's thick enough and ready. Pretty much will fill in the holes if you do it right. Alright, so it took me exactly 1 hour to put the concrete sealer in all the cracks, all the way down, and then all the way under the pool table to the other side of the wall over there. And then I did this crack all the way down. So, to put that sealer in, smoothing it off, it took about 1 hour to do all of it. So you can pretty much touch it after about 45 minutes to an hour. You would kind of screw it up if you push too hard. So once it hits about an hour and a half to 2 hours, I'd say about an hour and a half, you're fine. And then do one more coat of the sealer across the top of it to make sure all the little holes that you might have missed are filled. Because there's a little hole there, a little hole there. So all the spots that are rough like this, that stick out, you want to run over the sander, the brick, and smooth all that off. Make sure everything's level, and whatever's not level, you just refill it again and do it all over again. After a couple coats, in about 2.5 to 3 hours, you'll have a nice strong seal. So this is after 2 coats. You can see it's starting to dip a little bit because of how deep it's sinking in. So to get it fully level, you got to keep just reapplying and letting it harden until it's fully above the surface of both sides. But now after 2 coats and letting it dry for 24 hours, it's pretty hard. It's not going to move. This was a really deep spot here. It sunk down in a long ways. So after 2 full coats, I'm surprised that it's finally hard. After the first coat, I could stick my finger through it a little bit, even after 10 hours of waiting. But now it's actually pretty hard where you can actually push on it without going through it. But you can see it's cracking because of how deep it's sinking in. I'm going to sand it all off with a brick. Everything's pretty hard. With the second coat, I just used a little putty knife and smeared it across to make sure it was all down in there and smooth. It doesn't say anywhere that it's square footage, or what its square footage is, I mean. I was able to do, I think I have about 50 foot of crack that I did with 2 full coats. And it's still got a quarter of the bottle left. So I think you could be comfortable getting about 125 to 150 feet out of this without any problems. So far it seems like the brick has become smoother than the floor.